Home truths for the Reserve Bank. Caught between rocketing property prices and an economy stuck in low gear. And Australia.
Okay, so is Australian economy a one trick pony? Do we have anything else going for it except property? How long has it gone like this, and how much longer can we expect to be able to sustain this? Not so much growth, but keeping our heads above the water, and I suppose kicking the can down the road is was being mentioned a lot. How do we compare to other economies as far as the diversity?
The Reserve Bank is under pressure. It's slashed rates 3 times to kickstart growth, but while the economy is stalled, house prices have taken off. All capital city values rose last month except Darwin, and Sydney has posted the biggest monthly gain in more than 3 decades. Fueling all of this is the cheapest money on record. And the problem for the Reserve Bank is raising rates could light the fuse on Australia's debt bomb. Stephanie Chalmers has the story.
Sydney lawyer Larissa Chan has been actively house hunting for 6 weeks now.
Honestly, this is what happens, or this is all that happens, is people kind of looking on their apps and mobile phones, smartphones, and are looking for a bargain for a good deal on housing when if you're shopping for that, shopping for other things, of course. But the thing is that I used to think you might be able to find some bargains. I don't think there are any bargains because everything's so easily accessible. You can punch in the suburb you want, the price, how many bedrooms, and all sorts of filters, and see anything that's available. So nothing actually falls through the cracks. Nothing is kind of, oh, it's forgotten, nobody went to that auction because people didn't expect or didn't see it. Or now everything's been advertised to the max. Everything's been priced into the market. So there's I don't think there are any bargains. You're not going to find any quality properties, meaning close to transport, schools, and central business districts or cities, work, that will be anything resembling a bargain. But hey, let's just go and speculate to the max.
So far, unsuccessfully.
There's low stock on the market, and what's on the market is probably for more than I'm willing to pay.
She's hopeful she will be able to get into the market, but could be priced out.
I think it's very noticeable. Even just looking at prices of what's sold over the last 12 months is no indication of what they'll go for now.
And that's supported by the statistics. National house prices have posted their first annual rise in more than a year and a half, and the biggest monthly gain in 16 years.
And before some of the comments start saying that this is the cooked data, I think it might be. However, what I've seen in Sydney is that, yes, they have bounced back off the bottom. They don't seem to have reached the peaks and the highs of the mid-2017. So I suppose that's a good thing, although the government will tell you the affordability. Somehow, affordability is better when the prices go up. It's just, go figure. It's amazing. My dad's a retired economist, and he just says that he's never, ever seen government being so motivated to keep this Ponzi going. Is just beyond reason and beyond belief.
Sydney led the surge, with the monthly price rise the biggest in 31 years. But it was a broad-based property pickup, with Perth posting its first gain in 18 months, and Darwin the only capital to go backwards.
I think there is.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, absolute total a speculation from people that get paid to predict property, or should we use another word, property?
I think there is a bit of a fear of missing out now in the market. I think most buyers think prices are definitely going to be going up in 2020, and I would agree with that view.
So I think there's a bit of a fear of missing out, FOMO, in the market, and most people think that the prices will go up the next year. This is what he said. Most people think, and he tends to agree. According to what research, what data, just tends to agree because that's what the crowd thinks. So I'm just gonna agree. And if something If it doesn't go that way next year, then I'll say, well, you know, it was a consensus that prices were going up, or we didn't know this or that was going to happen to have the prices pull back so much. So that way you're covered because you've agreed with the masses or with what people think is just complete nonsense.
I think there is a bit of a fear of missing out now in the market. I think most buyers think prices are definitely going to be going up in 2020, and I would agree with that view.
Prices are definitely going to go up next year, and he would agree with that view. Wow, just had to play it again. Apologies.
Helping to fuel the property price resurgence are the lowest interest rates on record, and Australian households aren't strangers to taking on debt, with a debt-to-income ratio around 200%. Today, the Reserve Bank left rates on hold at the historic low of 0.75%.
So debt-to-income ratio is 200%. That means that, I mean, it's double to what people are earning, and the increase in wages don't seem to be coming anytime soon, and not on the horizon, if ever, because this globalization is not bringing a middle-class prosperity yet. It's only doing and making the race to the bottom. So instead of equalizing the wages of the third world countries and pushing them up to the levels of our levels of the first world countries, what's occurring is that our wages are pushed down. There's a downward pressure as they have this healthy immigration. So we are all racing down to the bottom. We are not stabilizing and normalizing up towards the top. Now, speaking of first and second and third world countries type thing, let's talk about this economic complexity. I think I called it diversity, but complexity in any case. So you want to be more complex, meaning that if one part of your economy is not firing on all cylinders, you've got other parts and groups. So the ranking is in 2017, seems to be the latest one, is we got Japan, Switzerland, Germany, Singapore's. I'm just looking at some of these. Hungary's there. United States is 12, pretty diverse, actually not bad. Complex Italy, UK, Slovakia, China's all there. Romania is 24, Thailand is 25. All right, so there's a more complete list. So we're up to about 25 that we were looking. So we've got Thailand there, Netherlands, Estonia. So where is we got Serbia, Turkey, Bulgaria at 40. All these little European countries that are not necessarily considered first world developed countries, not to offend anyone. Russia is pretty poor complexity, I think 49. Lebanon, New Zealand 51. Saudi Arabia 56. Where are we? South Africa, Mauritius, Egypt 68. Argentina 72. Geez, okay, so I'm gonna have to scroll down more and more. Australia, number 93. Number 93. Okay, so who's just ahead of us? Kenya, Morocco, Uganda, Senegal. But we beat Pakistan and Mali and Liberia and Peru and Cambodia and Tajikistan and Ivory Coast and Togo and Myanmar and Malawi, Bangladesh. So we beat them. So, and we are in the top 100. I'm obviously being facetious and sarcastic, but this list only has only 133 countries in the list, and Australia is 93, but we beat Uganda and Senegal. Also desperate to push the interest rates down and continue the property Ponzi.
0.75%, but Governor Philip Lowe has indicated the cash rate could go as low as 0.25%.
The risk is that lower interest rates still from the Reserve Bank and lower interest rates for an extended period of time risk exacerbating that household debt issue that we have in the economy.
Lower interest rates for longer could see more Australians piling into cheap loans at a time when the prudential regulator APRA has loosened lending restrictions.
There's a real possibility here that the markets in Sydney and Melbourne are going to continue to fire up right throughout 2020 before we see any action from APRA.
Now, this action from APRA, can somebody enlighten me why APRA is supposed to step in? What is APRA's job? Because we had the Royal Commission and it was established that people who could fog up a mirror were given loans. So why would they have to step in and do what and say don't lend this easy, cheap money when the central bank of the land, Reserve Bank of Australia, has lowered it so low that the private businesses, being banks and lenders, are just lending cheap because the money is cheap from the central bank. So again, why would APRA step in again to do what? I don't get it there. As if we again didn't have this happen before, as if there isn't something to go back to and say they've already said stop lending to people who are not supposed to get into these loans, yet that's been forgotten, and now we're expecting or not expecting APRA to step in until after 2020. It's just it's a binary choice that is completely wrong, and it was meant to absolutely confuse you and make you forget about, again, what actually happened that was supposed to stop runaway housing prices. See, what we have to understand is that the loans haven't been given to people to be paid off. They were given to people to continue servicing. And if everybody paid off their loan, there wouldn't be a monetary system. Now, if they raise the interest rates to kill the golden goose, which is you and me, then the system again wouldn't exist because people wouldn't be able to pay it, continue to service it. So they just keep it exactly there where you are in debt up to your eyeballs, currently 200% debt to income ratio, where you can again just service it just enough, not to default, not to die, but to continue to service it, but be so far away from paying it off completely that system continues. And then when they run out of the people in the country, they bring new people in and just rinse and repeat, do exactly the same thing with new immigrants.
One way to take heat out of the property market would be for the RBA to raise interest rates, but that would hurt debt-laden borrowers quickly.
Housing construction, whether we like it or not, is tied to the hip with our economy. And so the big fall in building approvals means that no matter for these rate cuts, no matter the fact we're having rising housing prices, it is a jobless housing recovery, and it is going to weigh on the RBA's hands over the course of 2020.
You know, for once I agree with this man. And this is the sign of the absolute madness.
6 months ago, maybe, but looking at what they're going for now, I think they're well out of my price range.
Low interest rates are tempting would-be buyers like Larissa to bite the bullet.
I think it leads to a fear of missing out as well. I mean, I want to get in while the interest rates are low. There's always the fear that they're going to go up.
House hunters and the Reserve Bank caught between surging house prices and a slowing economy.
I love it how they kind of make it sound as if it just happened. You know, the Reserve Bank and the borrowers have been caught. You know, it's like they didn't see it happen. You know, these interest rates were lowered by someone else, not the RBA. You know, so they now caught they as if they didn't expect it. It's just unbelievable. And that's exactly what they were doing and where they were getting us to. Again, just keeping you alive on life support called your job.